As is customary within the clergy, the investigation into Frater Imperator's accident had to be conducted internally. During a mini-conclave between Sister Imperator and Papa Nihil, two nameless schools were entrusted with the noble task of investigating the incident. Of course, appropriate attire was required for the investigation into Frater Imperator's accident. There was a certain amount of disagreement as to which of the chosen ghouls should take on the part of Sherlock Holmes and which should impersonate Dr. Watson. As Frater Imperator's accidents happened on public ground, the police were recently investigating. Besides questioning witnesses, they also investigated the scene of the incident. The entire clergy, as well as the staff and all the nameless ghouls, were questioned as witnesses. Papa V, Perpetua, was interrogated as the only suspect so far, but his alibi was foolproof. Yet, unexpectedly, the clergy did have a hand in the investigation into Frater Imperator's accident after all. Quick-witted plush Cardinal Copier, known as Plopia, had unobtrusively tagged along with the police and was now able to follow the investigation. Although Frater Imperator could not identify the driver of the truck, he was still able to provide useful information. The police investigated and found that the truck was a rental vehicle. It had been leased by a certain Frederick Frankenstein. On the same day as the accident, a background check quickly revealed that the truck had been leased by the renowned plastic surgeon, Dr. Frederick Frankenstein. When the investigators arrived at his clinic, they were greeted by his assistant, Igor, who cautiously opened the door. Unbeknownst to all involved, Clopier had quietly accompanied the investigation all along. Unfazed by the presence of the police, Dr. Frankenstein presented signed documents to prove that he had not hired the truck. Of course, that still didn't clear Dr. Frankenstein from suspicion, but at least he, like V, had a foolproof alibi. Unlike his master, Igor had been behaving very suspiciously and was taken in for questioning at the police station. But Igor was a tough nut to crack. Even after hours of questioning, he remained quiet. Even the proven tactic of staring silently into his eyes proved fruitless for some reason. With no valid reason, the police had to let Igor go after questioning the witnesses. But of course, he was shadowed, and not just by the investigators. Unlike the cops, Plopia was able to follow Igor into Frankenstein's cellar. Plopia couldn't believe his eyes. Mindful, he documented that what happened and informed the clergy. Along with the police, Frater Imperator was still in danger. However, he somehow managed to carry this big camera with him, as well as the clear video evidence. The police set a trap for the suspect. While the police and Plopia waited to make the arrest, Frater Imperator pretended to be asleep. There he sat in the interrogation room, Curzo, stitched back together by Dr. Frankenstein. Yet, no, once again alive, and still furious at his usurper, Frater Imperator. Years ago, Papa Emeritus III, known as Terzo, came to an inglorious end on stage. Coincidentally, his body came into the hands of Dr. Frederick Frankenstein, who had perfected his family's traditional method. After just a few stitches, he successfully brought Terzo back to life. But Terzo was furious, especially at his successor, Cardinal Copier, alias Frater Imperator, to calm him down. Dr. Frankenstein locked Terzo in his cellar. Since imprisonment is obviously not an adequate form of anger management, Terzo stayed angry. Over the years he spent in his prison, Terzo befriended Frankenstein's assistant, Igor. After a while, Igor helped him sneak out from time to time. Igor became suspicious when the police questioned Dr. Frankenstein. After being interrogated himself, Igor confronted his friend. Without hesitation and without regret, Terzo admitted to the attack on Frater Imperator. However, the two are still friends.